Hello and welcome to the replay of Connecting the Dots. I'm so happy that you have chosen to take this time to watch this workshop and inquire and go deeper within to connect your own dots to see what is calling you. It was roughly 25 of us who joined live, which was such a perfect number because there was still possibility to interact and share. I also want to say that during the live workshop, we were going into breakout rooms. So those parts I have fast forwarded and removed, but I really invite you to take this time to treat it as a live workshop. Grab your cup of tea, take your pen and journal, and when I'm prompting you with questions, just take time to pause and journal, because those are, I also fast forwarded so that you don't have to spend time just watching everyone write. Is there anything else? I think that's it. Let's dive in. And once again, I am welcoming you here. And if something has called you to join this workshop, it means something is calling you to something bigger. And I could not be happier for you, even though it doesn't feel maybe so good right now, because there might be confusion, there might be uncertainty, but trust me, this is an invitation to something bigger. Something is moving through you and wants the best for you. And so do I. And so we begin. In order to understand everything better, we have to understand how we got here and what it is that has already happened, what skills we already have, what gifts we already have, and moving from that place, moving from the place where we have understood our resources. So I guess now my question to you is, if you could put it in the chat, yeah, like what brought you here, what curiosity, or where you are right now, and what called you about the subject of connecting the dots, to take your time and spend this time inquiring and diving deeper. So if you could just pop into your chat. Or better way to ask, what would you like to receive from today? Clarity, integration, clarity. There is a theme, I think. Help with my feeling of stagnation and lost in career and drive. Yeah, it's hard to stay driven when the vision is not clear. Many changes in my life, relationship, moving countries, and I want to know how my work will evolve with everything else. Thank you, Hannah. Clarity on how I can integrate my experiences with my vision. Yes, love that. I think the clarity is a theme. Courage to express myself more. Yes. Yes. Realize the goals and go get them. Yes. Direction in the new path. What to take into my new chapter, moving abroad. Oh, so many changes. I have like goosebumps, guys. Yeah. Echoing everyone shares self-empowerment, connect to my purpose, clarity on the little nudge to keep going, even though it feels like it's not working out yet. Yes. Help with the fear of the unknown and the courage to move forward. Okay, clarity, courage, moving forward, direction, vision. I'm glad you're here. I remember this point so vividly. And yeah, how my heart goes to that point where nothing is clear. This is how we're going to go flow today. So I'm just going to introduce myself to those who haven't met me yet, or I haven't worked with yet. Then we'll discuss this in between in quite a bit of. There is also, different perspectives through which we get different lenses through we can look at this in between stage. And then we're going to move, and now what and how. Actually, these are the 2 points in which you which are brought up in your shares. So we're going to get there. But before we are there, here is a little snapshot of my life before the in-between.
So some of you might have seen it, some of you know me from that life even, but this is little me, probably four. I was born in Soviet Union, territory of Latvia, so we didn't have colorful cameras back then. And I have like probably 3 childhood photos in total. But then, yeah, I grew up in Latvia until I was 18. And then I moved to London when I got my business and marketing degree. And then, as you can see, my corporate career was filled with like award ceremonies. I was working banking, financial technology industry. I got married when I was 28, and then suddenly everything changed. There was this moment where actually it felt like my whole life collapsed. Me and my partner, we broke up in our honeymoon very suddenly, out of nowhere. We were together for a long time. So it wasn't because I discovered his snores on my honeymoon. Some big discoveries happened then, and there was no way to go back. But with that shift, there was also this new thing that appeared where I was no longer satisfied with my life as it was, but in all aspects. I started soul searching and asking myself deeper questions like, who am I? What am I here to do? And in service to what? So then the process began of actually inquiring, but not knowing what to do with that yet. So the so called in between. Fast forward to now, this is me now. There's definitely a change in color scheme, which happened involuntarily. But yes, I started seeing back then, while I was still in London, I started seeing these visions of myself, predominantly barefoot, and teaching and sharing and working with clients one-on-one. And I couldn't understand what these visions were, but they were real powerful glimpses of things that made absolutely no sense given my background, because I was in corporate banking and there was nothing of this in my previous life. And there was a lot of judgment of what was calling me. It felt all very mumbo jumbo, very vague, and I couldn't understand what I would be doing with kind of like these ideas I was getting. But then I started a process which I'll be sharing with you today, which helped me gain a lot of clarity. But this is my background in terms of credentials. So yeah, I have a bachelor degree in business and marketing. Human design was my first business. Some of you, I think Irina and maybe some others, I met in Puerto through human design. That was like my first reiteration where I had no Instagram, nothing. I had posters on the walls, and which I put myself riding on my scooter. And I was like, I'm just gonna see what happens. And then not long after, I had a wait list. Everyone in town knew their human design. And it was like a fun project that I did for a few years. And I'm so grateful for that because it just showed me that I can work with people. I started organizing things and so on while studying psychology and mind body studies. I did training with Gabor Mate on compassionate inquiry, studied IFS, and started really inquiring a little bit deeper into what shapes us, what actually makes us. There are a bunch of other things, and currently I'm applying for a master's degree in consciousness, spirituality, and transpersonal psychology. And more on that later and as to why. But really, what I believe in is that we all have an assignment, every single one of us. Once we wake up to realization that life is fleeting and we start searching for meaning, everyone already has an assignment. It's somewhere there, it's being buried maybe, but connecting the dots is about figuring out what that assignment is for you. Personally, I have been through my fair share of these in-betweens and messy middles to realize that that's part of my mission, to normalize that stage. And that's why I am applying for a master's as well, to do research on this stage that we are in, because it's quite limited in terms of work that has been done in Western psychology on it. But I truly believe that once we look back and start seeing what life wants to express through us, we start seeing different patterns. And questions that we'll be asking ourselves today can lead us there. One of the questions was, what breaks my heart? And what breaks my heart personally is seeing so that people hold themselves back, not because they don't have gifts or not because they don't know that they are gifted. It's because of fear and doubt and stuckness and believing they're not capable, not because they're actually incapable. So that's where my heart breaks. And that's the question that we'll come back to when connecting your dots too. And I love creating these kind of experiences a lot more in person. So I haven't done so many online so far, because really when we come together in person at events, retreats, and so on, the energy that moves is so powerful. But having started this year doing more of online things, I can also see that it has so much beauty and value to connect from all over the world. So that's the little intro. And now to the more interesting part, the in between, the messy middle. Yeah, this is part of the research that I have been doing and have been trying to understand and looking through different lenses. Why is it that we are being presented with this point in which, like, it's a quite a clear state in which the old is no longer, but we like it feels like a comfort zone, even though it's no longer comfortable. So we cling to that. And then there is an opening to something new, but because it doesn't come with a map, it doesn't come with real directions, it only comes with sort of inner compass, the nudge, intuition, gut feeling that this is where you have to go. So from that place, how to move becomes unknown, unclear, uncertain. And that's good, because if it's known and certain, then most probably you're not walking your own path. So it's part of the process. But this is an invitation to start stepping into your power. I really want this to be a community event more so than just me talking. So what I'm going to do now is going to split you in little breakout rooms, and there will be a question for you to answer, and it is just to share with you between yourselves, where do you feel called to move forward but don't have full clarity yet? So everyone shared that clarity is what they want, and I could have guessed that this will be the main topic. So if you could reflect in your little groups, in the breakout rooms, in which areas it is that you need more clarity, and then I'm going to time it. It's going to be 4 minutes for everyone. So if you are in a group or two or three, just know that you have 4 minutes and everyone has like roughly a minute to share. Okay. Okay. Open rooms. I'll see you in a few minutes. Bye. Hello and welcome back. How was it to share? Is there anyone who would like to share any reflections from the group or any commonalities or something you've discovered?
Unfortunately, we had technical issues and weren't really able to complete it.
Okay, who didn't get to share?
Me and Lily kind of half and
They're
sleep
here.
through.
Then it's your turn now.
Why did I open my mouth? All right, I guess I need more clarity because Elena, I was in my corporate job for 12 years, hated it, made good money, but didn't want to do that. And then I was always adventurous, and now I got into mountaineering and mountain climbing and adventure travel. And I live abroad. Sorry, I live remotely for 4 years, traveling between the mountains and the beach, defrosting here and back in the mountains again. And basically just trying to get that going and start working with brands. And it's just, I don't know, I keep second guessing myself. It's just been hard and just keep, yeah, I feel like more clarity and just keep, I did want to give up one day and then try to do it again. I don't know. It's just, it's mind. My mind is playing games with me. It's no, you cannot do this. It's not going to work. You're not a professional athlete. It's not going to work, or things like that.
Yeah,
So,
it's stories. Yeah, what I hear you say is that you have figured out what it's.
yeah.
I know what I'm passionate about. I know what it is, but now the how. But it's hard. It hasn't happened yet. Maybe it's not for me. All of these doubts start creeping in, pulling you backwards. Yeah. Who can
Absolutely.
relate to that?
Yeah.
Who can relate to that? Yeah. Okay. Yes, Steph, I can see. So I don't see all of you right now, but yeah, so it's very common because what happens, you're starting a new life. It's almost like you have a new baby, and then you're expecting that baby who is 9 months old to pay your rent, to take care of itself, and to really do everything what a grown-up is supposed to do because you're already a grown-up and you were. But when you're starting this business, it's like having a baby. You have to invest in it before it can invest back into you. So it's not expecting a child to do everything just yet. And also the child can be cranky, and entrepreneurship, like nothing else, will be pulling out all of your insecurities, all of the things that you don't really know how, like whether, anything that's there that's stuck will be exposed and needs to be looked at. These are the limiting beliefs, the fears, the doubts, and so on, for you to go through them, because the more you doubt, the more it wires in your brain that this is a truth, but it's absolutely not the truth. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Kirina, and sorry for putting you on the spot.
Thanks, La. No worries.
Leilini, you also didn't get a chance to share in your group. Would you like to share with the rest? You're on mute, love. Still muted, Leilini.
Can you hear me?
Now,
Yeah, so we had this technical problem, but we fixed it. But the time was over. So I had a little introduction, but it's okay because I have the clarity session with you, and I get a little more details about what's going on. So it's good that Irina can talk.
okay, then good. Okay, so then we are moving forward. What I want to share with you, that has anyone heard term Samvega?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay, Samvega, it's a Buddhist term, and it signifies this sudden realization that life is precious and something more is calling. It's this wake-up call, or this messy middle, this in between. There is a term in Buddhist teachings to describe exactly what it is, and there is this feeling of urgency that comes with it, but not in a way where it's like, oh my God, this is horrible, what's happening, but in a soul steering way that the old way is no longer possible. It's just this movement that happens, and there is a part of you that starts pushing you to seek real meaning to what brings you joy and how to spread that joy with others. And it also comes with desire to be in nature more. It's all described, so it's all documented. Buddhists who are smart guys, they all have put it together, and they're like, guys, we've got this. People go through it. Congratulations, this stage is celebrated. I looked up what Western psychology defines the stage as, and it's comical. It's existential crisis, midlife crisis. Literally, this was my prompt. Is there anything Western psychology which resembles this term? And it's from one crisis to another, and then there is a little bit more of cognitive dissonance, dark night of the soul, liminality, messy middle, until Abraham Maslow has arrived to term self-actualization. You see the difference. Buddhist, hey, congratulations, you're growing up. There's something that's bigger calling you, and you're about to find meaning. Whereas the Western are like, it's a crisis. Why is it like this? Because here we are meant to follow the system. We are meant to follow a set of rules. And then when we want to stand out of that, it's no, that's a crisis. It needs to be healed, and you need to be reintroduced back to your old ways, which for you, if you know yourself already, are no longer available even. This is why part of this research is the reason I'm applying for masters, to contribute positively to that, to do more research on how this can be normalized, so that people in this messy middle, in the in between, no longer, yes, thank you, Carmen, the neglection of the idea of death and the fact that life is precious and short is exactly it. But that's the research I want to do, and this is actually why I'm starting to move all my work towards it now. But Maslow, as I said, was finally arrived at this term of self-actualization. If you're familiar with Maslow's pyramid of needs, so we start at the survival and safety, and this is where we are like our basic needs. After that, we are moving into belonging. We all need to connect and belong. And then as it goes up, the last stage is self-actualization. This is where you are. If you have been called to join this workshop and start doing something meaningful, this is great, because this is whilst it feels uncomfortable, mostly it feels uncomfortable because society tells you that you have to have it all figured out already. But what if this discomfort was just an invitation, and the fact that it's not all clear exactly how it needs to happen is not really a bad thing, but it's exactly where you need to be and ask yourself the right questions in order to figure it out. And instead of asking, how do I get rid of these symptoms, of this discomfort, of not knowing, of stuckness, the question is, what are they asking of me? What are these symptoms asking of you? So once we arrive to the fact that this is A, completely normal, B, a good thing, and 3, an invitation for growth, then the questioning, like, hopefully can move from a place of real despair and someone take it away from me to curiosity and appreciating that this is a process. Of course, once you have arrived to this, it's okay, I get it, and now what? There are a few questions that I would like you to invite you to journal on, and to after that we'll do I'll time each question for a few minutes, and after that we will go into like more interaction and hopefully without technical issues. But the first question, actually this is the process that I took myself through. I took when I quit my career and I handed in my key and left everything in London. I was like, I'm not doing anything but following what I'm curious to learn. I don't know what it is. I had no idea. And the first thing that I started exploring was curiosities. So asking yourself, what are you naturally curious about? What podcasts, books, documentaries are you listening, watching? What are you saving in your Instagram folders? What is it that you are forwarding to your friends, apart from memes? But if it's memes, what themes of memes? Like, what is it that is there? So if you could take a few minutes and just note in your notebook or maybe in the computer, and then we're going to move to the next question. And if anything pops up in terms of reflections or questions, you can unmute yourself or type in the chat, whatever feels better for you. Okay. Then question number 2 is recognize your gifts. This is a super important part. Things that come naturally to us and what others seek you out for. Others seek you out for, this is the most important thing, because they already, sometimes we don't see our own gifts when others see it. So just journal and reflect on what it is that they see you as an expert or you get complimented on, and don't be shy. Also, good reflection would be like something that comes super easily and people are like, but how did you do that? And you're like, I don't know, I just did something that's super simple. These are your zones of genius. This is what's worth paying attention to. Okay. Are we ready for the next question? Can I get a nod? Or yeah. The next question is, what have you overcome? What challenges, experiences, what has shaped you? Again, I'll use from my own experience, like me here teaching on messy middles, when I have had my fair share, and without going into semantics, but really I just feel like these big turning points from one area to another has been something that's really has shaped me a lot. And career pivots, location pivots, figuring out how to start from scratch, all of that is, I'm not like, I didn't learn it in the book, and this is not why I'm here sharing about this. It's because life has first tested me badly and given me a PhD on it in order to say anything about it at all. So if you could reflect for a moment. And the next question is, what breaks your heart? What change do you want to create in the world? And it can be very far away from what you're doing now. Because also think of the past versions of you, and this is like not necessarily has to be immediately like in a coaching space or like self-development space. I'll use Irina, you as an example because you mentioned mountaineering, but it's, for example, like not seeing the world how big it is and like showing actually people how vast the world is and how good it is to move your body and be in the mountains and whatever it gives to you. And like the opposite of that, like people actually being so close-minded, never seeing a mountaintop, can be heartbreaking. And there is nothing bad. Or for someone it's animals, for someone it's nature. It really, like this question, it really doesn't have to like necessarily fall into the category of self-help or development or anything we are calling it. It could be, yeah, like anything that actually moves you. Those who have finished the questions, maybe look back at your answers and start noticing what is the red thread? What's the commonality? What's shaping from that? What are you start noticing in your answers that maybe there is something that's already coming together? Yes, so this is the review of your answers. What patterns or how does it tie together? I'm gonna open up breakout rooms again. Hopefully there will be no technical issues again. I have shuffled them, so it's not going to be the same rooms. So yeah, but everyone will have 2 minutes to share. I really invite you to start digging a little bit about it because this is what you're here for, clarity and answering these questions and saying them out loud, not like keeping them in your head, but this is what I know already and this is what's still unknown can be really helpful. And then we'll come back together into a group and yeah, reflect on it. So see you in 6 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. Oren comes back more smiley from these things, which is nice to see. How was it to share? Anyone had any clicks or anything that's coming together? Would love to hear from you. I feel like Carla wants to say something.
No, I think that we had some really beautiful, like sharing some really beautiful insights. I think that the conclusion that we came to was like kind of two keywords. Like we want to have a holistic approach to things. Like because we are like the business girls, but we're also the wellness girls. And we don't want that to fight. We want all to be together. Like we can be everything. So we talked, each of us, we talked about our own projects. Like I'm working on my like paradox archives. Like this concept of my concept is like everything is welcome to exist. And it's like making just like space for everything to exist. Like you don't need to divide yourself in two. Like you can be everything. And yeah, also a really big word that came was like authenticity, because when we welcome all of and hug all of these parts of us, we can be authentic and we can connect with the crowd and with like the clients or the people that we want to be surrounded by, and like we will resonate with each other. So yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. I love this duality. You know, that's a big part of my mission too. So I called my brand and also because we can be both. We can be spiritual and also business driven. It can be rooted in some sacredness and also be very practical and easy to implement. And also, I never could fit into one, just like doing just human design or just doing just breath work or just coming, like it can be breath work and also human design and also business strategy and all of this combined. And actually, this is where the world is moving now. Before that, yes, we need to find maybe niche in a way where it's like, who are we speaking to and who we want to help, and back to what breaks our heart. However, when it comes to modality, like you are a yoga teacher and you are a real estate agent, no, like it's not, it doesn't work like that. It can be many different things combined, and we all have our gifts, and actually world demands of us to be multifunctional, multifaceted, because things that are very simple, ChatGPT can do them. It doesn't, you don't, no one needs just one way of thinking or one way of doing. It's not the way world is right now. And thankfully, that's not how we are designed. We are multi-passionate, multi-layered, and bringing it all together in Paradox Archives, and also it's like a beautiful thing. Anything else that anyone noticed, like a thread or anything that they would like to share? Carmen, yes, hi, lovely.
Yeah, hi. Yes, I essentially what touched me the most is what I've been seeing lately. Like it's so much people collapsing or not being able to cope with work, to cope with life, to cope with relationships, to cope with expenses, blah, 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 you name it. I feel like there is so much going out there. There are so many beautiful things, but there is also so much going out there
Mhm.
that we have a society that's living like in constant overwhelm state.
Yes.
And I'm also a mother, and I see it in the younger generations. Like we were this weekend in a very special workshop, and we were looking at numbers of depression on teenagers. I'm not coming here with the negativity. We're living in a world that it's tough, and we need, as you said, like many tools, and we need to build like resilience tools of discernment. And this is where I feel like it's like we have to build ourselves to be very strong in our bodies, in our mind, and in our heart, and in many aspects to spirituality as well.
Yes.
A little bit like how we combine. There's a lot of things out there. No, I particularly have a couple of tools I work with, but that's my point. No, when we talk about clarity,
Mhm.
I think it's more about discernment.
Yes, it is. It's because that's the thing, that actually why the how and the clarity is so difficult is because there's like all of this out there and there's a million ways to go. But actually, when you set your vision and when you're like, actually, this is what I want my life to be like, and this is how I see my future, path become less. And actually, it becomes about saying no to everything that isn't that. And also, I totally agree with you on overwhelm, but it's like a beautiful observation. It's if that's what moves you the most, then it's actually how can I help others to be able to discern? How can I help them to cope? How can I reduce the overwhelm by reducing the noise? We live in such a densely populated environment that there's so much. I'm like truly honored that you took an hour of your time to be here, because there is another 60 workshops like this going on. There's so much going on. So actually, by being clear as to what problem it fixes and who this is for, is how we actually narrow the focus, so people can discern whether this is something like the message resonates with them or not. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Carmen. Did anyone, and which is super welcome, did anyone really struggle to find anything that's pinpointing, or it didn't come into any sort of cohesive thing? Because that could also be happening. No?
I did at first, and then one of my group mates fortunately was able to see something a lot quicker than I was able to. And basically one of the things like in my questions or answers was things around aesthetic. And then something that breaks my heart is the accessibility to arts and culture, for example, seems very exclusive. And another thing that breaks my heart is the epidemic of mental illness worldwide.
Mm.
And my group mate had mentioned maybe there's something there with aesthetic that you have to share that will then, like that beauty that you see and whatnot, if you make it accessible in some way, that perhaps that can help with the epidemic of mental illness. Oh, okay. I'm gonna go with that and look forward to
Yes.
look.
Kudos to the teammate.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. But also, this is exactly connecting the dots. It's like they don't contradict. It's also all of our previous experiences. Like this is just what we can do in a workshop that's just a little bit over an hour. But really, there's so many in past experiences. I just picked like challenges and something to overcome. But actually, like all of the qualifications and so on, like again, I share that I have previous experience in corporate, but with that, I also have a degree in business. I'm not throwing it away. I'm bringing it to here and like actually then holistically looking at all of the tools that I have and all the knowledge I gained and everything that matters to me now. And this is exactly the process of connecting the dots, linking the things which previously would be like, that's old me and that's new me, or this is the thing that I care outside of work, but work is something different. But it can no longer be like this because that then like our soul wants us to see it, you know? Actually, if you join the workshop that talks about it, your soul definitely wants you to see it. Okay. I wonder.
For myself, I think when I met you, we spoke about just feeling very stuck on what it is. And I still feel quite stuck on that. And when I was writing things down, there was a lot of commonalities in it, but still, I feel slightly unsure. But what kept coming up in mine was just general lack of equality and pain. I think whether that be childhood pain, pain that animals go through, a lot of animal rights, so just human pain in general, and just the lack of freedom. And even when you said about like, the travel, sometimes I think about like my dad. He's like never been on holiday, and Ada and I were sat on a mountain the other day in Wales, and just think it's just so crazy that like my dad's just never sat on a mountain and never experienced like what we experienced and just being there. I'm still struggling to quite put my finger on what it is that I want to do, but I do seem to be quite drawn to pain, and I think that's from having had a lot of pain myself and coming out of the other end.
Yeah, but I think there is definitely threats. What I hear you say is, yeah, when something is unfair or uneven, unequal, and those who cannot stand up for themselves, okay, but it's not about, and now I have a business solving inequality in the whole wide world. It's like, how can you contribute? How can you expose yourself more to environments where there is equality, or those who fight for it rather than where there is equality? Because it's going to be a long journey, but it's how can you take the next step, which would be like more, how can I volunteer for charity just to see what the ins and outs are of it are? Who else is fighting for the cause? That do I look up to, and I can pick their brains in my environment or outside? How can I narrow down my feed on Instagram to bring me more information on it? The next steps, they are not about then actually, and now this is how you do it 10K month. Not yet, not where you are. Like it's gonna come for sure. But it's like, how can you expose yourself to as much information that you need and expansion, inspiration, and environments where this is actually a topic that's being talked about?
Yeah.
Joining different things and so on. So that's where you are. Of course, those in the room that already like figured out what their thread is and started doing it, it's the next stage. How can I actually sustain myself? Because one of my teachers always used to say, if you support, your purpose will support you. If it's like meaningful, if you're of service, it will support you financially translated. But I truly believe that if we show up for our purpose, will show up for us. And I've seen it again and again happening. This is not belief that is just made up. It's universal law of abundance, and that's how it works. Thank you so much for everyone who shared, and sorry for those who I pulled out, but really was curious where you are in your journeys. The thing here is that I like this quote that says, if we don't ask the question, why am I here and in service to what, then you will be in service to your survival instincts. And I've experienced it myself because our survival instincts was kept us safe. We know how to, we all are here logging in from computers, so we already know how to earn something. We already know how to make a buck because we all have it. This laptop, this house, it didn't land. We already know it. But maybe for some of us, and for me, for sure, in London, it was out of survival. If I don't produce, like I got myself to medically diagnosed burnout just because all I knew was to produce. All I knew, I'm from Eastern Europe where scarcity is like super common. It's like I need to work hard to earn anything. Everything can get lost. It can get taken away. And I worked myself to burnout. These are our survival instincts. And actually, survival instincts, it's also playing small, not being visible, not sharing our gifts. That's a survival instinct to protect yourself from what you think people will think about you. Not showing up fully, not fully committing. It's a survival instinct because there is a fear of responsibility. Like, you can't give me that because I'm too scared. All of this are survival instincts, but no longer needed. That's why they need to be looked at. I do a lot of work with IFS and internal family systems where we go and meet these parts that are scared because they will be keep protecting you. Even in some cases, not always, sometimes it's genuine like confusion. I don't know. At times, this I don't know is a protective mechanism. Actually, you do know what steps you need to take. You're just too afraid to actually make them because then everything will change and you're not safe anymore. So, actually, questioning, do I really not know? Or I actually know, my intuition knows, everything in me knows, but I'm just keeping behind because I'm not safe from the unknown. Then the natural question, like this is again, I feel the room is like some people are like on different stages and how. It's hard to explain how because it's a process and a process which is not linear. But I try to do my best to create a step-by-step process, but really it's more questions because all of this is, as I said, it doesn't come with a map and a how-to. And really, I don't believe in these steal my strategy or this is what I did because it's so individual and so unique for everyone that the how becomes like really a hero's journey, a path that you take. But first step always is to get clarity on your vision, what it is that you want your life to look like, and how do you see it? Really, what does it feel, taste, smell like? I actually just recorded a meditation, which I'll be sharing soon, on getting clarity on that to go into this journey. Like, where does your future self live? What does she do? Who is she surrounded by? And actually, then or she or he. But what becomes clear is all the things you have to say no to, all the things you have to stop doing because you have the vision and it's not no longer congruent with it. So it's a no. The second step, and by the way, steps again, they are not linear. There, it's like you got the clarity, you started doing the work on what's holding you back, vision starts changing. That's okay. But it's like kind of more or less that's where the starting point. What's holding you back is a question. It's what doubts do you have you'll get there? For example, Arita, again, I'm going to use the example because you shared. It's like you have the vision, you know what you want, but it's the doubts start creeping in. But these are your limiting beliefs. They're not truth. Not that I can guarantee not a single doubt that you have is true. All of them are just made up stories. So actually, one thing is understand it in your mind and rationally understand that you're making up stories as to why you can't do the thing you want to do. And second thing is breaking through with them by using different like tools I work with are IFS, internal family systems. Breathwork has helped me massively. There are different tools, but really it's like that breakthrough thing is okay. Now I get happy when I realize my limiting belief because I know I can overcome them. But sometimes this one is really stuck and it's there. But I know that all the other ones, like I used to believe that there is no way for me to do something soul led or like purpose driven because it's mumbo jumbo. People will think I'm weird. I will never do anything like this because it's too weird. And now, like, I really couldn't give a flying monkey, like, weird or not, it's what I believe in. So it's the same. Like now I look at that version of myself, like, can you believe I used to believe that's how we like at some point all of these doubts become like, oh, I can't bless that version of me. I can't believe she used to think that this is my box, that's my limit. The third step is understanding what is required. This is a question that actually we really need to be honest with ourselves. What skills, shifts, What support do you need to actually move to the place that you want to move? Sometimes it's actually, I've done so many different courses. I've done so many different things because I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to lead breathwork. So I got the course. But actually investing in yourself at this stage, like what's required, what resources, how can you provide for that? And right now, if it's just informational resource or you can learn anything online for free. Do not let that stop you. If it's like a knowledge thing, there is so much information. It's not the information you lack, it's a mindset shift that's available for you that actually keeps you away from it. And the last step is taking action again and again. And they don't stop. It's not like after step 4, you've graduated. It's a continual process where you actually take one step and a few new steps become clear. But like the only thing that actually will not move you forward if you keep believing that actually you that somehow either are incompetent, inadequate, or it's for others, not for you. But actually, once clarity comes in motion, like once you start moving, then something shifts. If you stay stuck, you will stay without clarity. So like moving like tiny little bits. Yeah. And that's what actually I would like to invite you to reflect on. Maybe you can pop in the chat, or if actually unmuting is easier, what step, and there will be like a minute to journal on it as well. What can you do today to actually move forward to clarity? Little steps or big steps, anything that comes through as your step to clarity. And once you have journaled, also pop it into the chat. Try different courses and see. Meditation, journaling, spend time alone with nature. Yes, really good for clarity, actually, disconnecting. Script my social media channel, love that. Like tangible steps. Yes, Carla, speak your truth. Whitney, yes. With courses and just environments, there's so much out there on the things that you care about. How can you be more in those places? Meditation. I love that. Continue connecting the dots. Leilini, connecting with myself. Yes. Create my own framework that works for me to have a holistic bird's eye view on my next steps. Yes. Check in with my daily actions. It's all about habits. It's what we do on day-to-day basis actually that makes future, it's a lot of teachings now. I mentioned I just came back from Joe Dispenza, but it's like visualizing your future self and yes, calling in that energy of what you want, but actually the work begins day to day now. If we want to have a strong body, we start exercising. The same if we want to actually live that life that we visualize. What would that person do in their day to day? What time would they wake up? What would they do first? And so on. What kind of people would they surround themselves with? So all these questions are super, super important. Yeah, and carve out more time for yourself, journal, reflect, and visualize. Beautiful. Irina, yes, stick to my goals and keep myself accountable. No procrastination. Procrastination is a trauma response, actually. It's freeze. So yeah, there's a lot on it. Continuing learning. Showing up for an interview, even though my old self wants to hide. Yes, Jamie, show up. Beautiful. So many. Yes, listening to the clues. It's really important. Actually, we already mentioned about the overwhelm and the amount of information available and everything else that's out there. It's super important to disconnect more than ever, to find time for yourself and find ways how you can actually like deeply listen to what's already there, because all the questions that you've seen, it's actually contemplation on them. It's like not to search immediately for an answer and figure it out with your mind, but it's like, what do I want? Where do you want me? Like speaking to something bigger than ourselves, whichever word you use to describe that. But it's like, what's next? And just really sitting with it and not trying to rush. Thank you. Such beautiful reflections and answers. I do want to share a few ways how, like what I have created in terms of containers. Someone needs to jump off or completely not interested. I just hope that you have gained what you needed, and that's absolutely fine. But exactly for the reason to bring together these moments of deep listening, of clarity, of transformational work, of overcoming the blocks. Basically, on these 4 steps, Turning Point Retreat is built. The retreat is there to provide these 5 days to remove yourself from the noise, from the environment, and to step into what is calling you next. There is going to be so many different workshops on decision making. And I know Caroline is already joining from the group. And yeah, I would love to, if you are interested in it, I would love to tell you more about it. I'm going to keep this short and send a discovery link to you after the workshop. But also whoever comes from here into the retreat, it's going to be amazing. It's in a beautiful space in Spain. And yeah, whoever joins from the call gets free one-to-one with me plus additional €100 of early bird. So it's going to be the same price as the pre-sale. So yeah, if you want to dive deeper, I can highly recommend the retreats, because those are just like, it's not just about connecting. There's also time alone, there's breath work, there's IFS, there's everything. And there's a bunch of new friends who are on the path with you. Here are some examples of people who went through this journey with me. And I really love sharing stories of those who actually are doing the thing. So Ivanka, she joined the retreat and she was like, she had a breakthrough, and then she overcame her health issues, moved from Croatia to Costa Rica, where she can surf. And now she's running a tourist agency focused on sustainable travel and surfing. Then I had another Emma joined a retreat in the UK. She then quit her corporate job, moved to Bali, Australia, became my assistant, learned the ins and outs of how to do things, and started her own coaching business. And those are examples from the retreats. And last thing I want to mention, I'm launching it next week. It's a 4-month mentorship, working 101. I actually never have officially launched, even though I have a one-to-one program, even though I have worked with people one-to-one for 4 years now, but never launched that program. But this one really, it came through as this answer to questions that I mostly receive on how to proceed, how to actually set it up so that it's sustainable and I can make it into, how can I create something that can sustain me? So that's the call. It's for those who are ready to answer the call. And it's one-to-one mentorship with ongoing support. So you'll have access to me. We'll have weekly sessions and you'll have access to me outside of it. And also we're going to be working with internal family systems, with human design tool. And you'll have full access to Step Up, which is a business starter course, which I'll guide you through. So you'll have lessons, but also we'll dissect them. It has modules on visibility, on financial planning, on anything that you need to get yourself started, as well as I'm teaching tech and systems, how to use graphic design, how to use AI, how to use Canva, how to use Flowdesk for emails, and so on and so forth. So it's really all-encompassing program where we work with mindset, which is very important, and also strategy. And that's it, pretty much. I just want to remind you that the day has come when the risk to remain tight in the butt is becoming more and more difficult than the risk to blossom. So I'm wishing you all, to blossom, to really step into your gifts and not to be afraid of what's coming, because I have full trust, faith, and confidence that all of you will figure it out. And thank you so much. We have a few minutes for questions or anything that came up, or anyone who has like a particular doubt, fear, block that they want to discuss. I'm happy to go through it now. Would be happy to. Any questions?
Jelena, thank you so much for this.
Thank you for being here. I have a question for you in terms of your transition from business into wellness. What was the hardest part for you to bring together and to actually share it to the world? Like, I mean,
Fear.
in that space at the moment as well, business and spirituality, but it's just like, it's how was it for you?
That was, I mentioned, that was my biggest fear. It was like to be seen as weird and mumbo jumbo, and that people would judge, the fear of judgment. Like I remember being like vividly being in Mexico and really getting into human design so deeply. And I already had clients, and I was like, I cannot possibly put it on Instagram. People will laugh. That was the biggest thing, because my corporate world was like different.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest thing. And at some point, I remember day vividly, I'm like, look, whoever like judges, they are just not for me. Like they're not my clients, they're not, like, it doesn't matter. Those who love me, they will not judge. So that's okay. And it really matters to show what you have to offer to kindred spirits. So since I started sharing, amazing people started coming to my life, both clients and just friends and so on. And actually that felt more aligned. So now I look back at the corporate, I don't even think about it. Actually, a lot of them became my clients because they are the ones who need this work. It like stepping through that fear only had benefits, but it is an icky moment. It's, oh,
Yeah.
no, it's how do I transition? What will people think? Those who love you will not think anything, and those who judge and don't love you, why do they matter anyway?
Okay, that's good. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you for your question. Yes, Antoinette.
Thank you so much. I had a question that kind of came up earlier on when you were talking about, like, just about the dynamicness of probably most of everyone that was on the call today, which felt very nice to be held in, because I'm a manifesting generator, and just, you know, I keep on trying to get myself in at least 2 boxes as opposed to 7. I can't do it. And all my life and career, I've been doing all the things. I've had my hands in all the things, and trying to have that make sense to people has been very challenging. And so it was nice to hear that finally people are starting to come around to it. But I still venture to say that people are, like, people on the other end that might be, whether it's a potential client or employer or partner. And recently someone had said, why have you been doing so many things, and why have you basically been from one thing to another? And the insecure part of me felt attacked. you know, and I've, as gracefully as I could, just said, I'm a multi-dynamic person. I've had the opportunity to get to do various things that I do believe I tie together quite well. And so it has me. And so I guess my question is, when being faced with that kind of thing, like, how can one answer something like that?
If you felt attacked and you already picked up on that, like there was a part of you which felt insecure, you were attacked by judgment because there is a part of you that judges yourself. So it's whose judgment is it really? Whose voice is it? It's not yours. It's not your true self. It's someone else's. You picked up along the way. So actually, like I would look into that. It's like, actually, who else would be telling me from maybe childhood that I'm like somehow not where I'm supposed to be, or somehow I'm not doing the thing I'm supposed to be doing, or I'm like not focused enough, and so on. So there is something in that, because otherwise if someone tells me that, I'm like, It's the same if someone tells me my hair is blue. I'm like, I know it's not, like whatever, moving on. So there is a part of you that judges that too. So that's one piece. Secondly, with this multi-dimensional, first of all, totally validating for everyone, especially manifesting generators, to be like, we don't have to do one thing, because the world just tells us pick one and do one, but that's no longer the reality. So it's good to know that and give yourself permission slip. But this is where vision comes in strongly, because if you don't have a vision and a clear direction, then you say yes to too many things. So it's not about saying yes to everything, but it's also not trying to
put yourself in one box, because like I even have this thing now where I'm like, I also want to do a retreat, but then I want to do things here in Ibiza, and then I want to do things online, but I can't do everything, so I have to pick and choose. So then I'm like, okay, what's my vision and what's going to get me to it? Because without a vision, especially with manifesting generators, it can be disbursement of energy, but same applies to everyone. You need to know where you're heading and whether the things that you're picking into your basket are actually steps that are leading you there or taking you further away from it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Okay, we have time for one more, or maybe we'll wrap it up. Okay. Okay, guys, let's sit up again. Just close your eyes. And again, arrives at this moment now. An hour and a half later, how are you feeling now? Without judgment, just observing. What shifted? Send a huge wave of gratitude for yourself for taking this time to inquire, to get curious. When you take time for yourself, it's an act of self-love. Deep inhale in, hold, and slowly exhale. 2 more breaths like that. Deep inhale in, filling yourself up. Holding it in. Think of what you want to feel, the clarity. And exhale, allowing that clarity to spread all over your body, knowing that you're exactly where you need to be. One more deepest breath today. And hold. Feel how full you are. And exhale anything that doesn't belong here. Slowly opening your eyes. Thank you so much for your presence, for your shares, for the time. I'm really grateful and honored you took this time. And we'll be in touch. And I'll send the replay if you ever want to rewatch. Bye, guys. Thank you.